Hello class, welcome to Unit 2.3b, solving equations with variables on both sides. Before we get started, let's take a little review of what some things we talked about yesterday. When we look at simplifying, we are looking at the same side. This is things like distributing and combining like terms. You see we have the 4x plus 5x, that equals 9x. Once we get to the part where the 9x equals 18 plus 3x, this is where we then go into a thing called solving. So when we're looking at solving, this is now where they're on opposite sides of the equal. So what we want to do is then use our inverse operations to solve. So if we see the plus 3x, we subtract 3x, divide by 6, and then we have our answer. That also brings us into interpreting our answers. We have three different types of solutions when we solve. The first one is what we see up top, where x will end up equaling a number. The other option is when we get a equals b, where basically two numbers are not equal, and that means there's going to be a no solution. And when we have many solutions, that's going to be when we have our x's cancel and a equals b. This is where we're going to look at that symbol, all real numbers. And what this is really just telling us is that there are many solutions that make our equation true. So let's take a look at a few examples. Looking at example A, what we want to do is look at both sides of our equal and see if there's anything we can distribute or any like terms. First thing that's jumping out here is that 3n plus n, so we can combine like terms by adding. And once we get both sides of this equation simplified, this is then when we want to look to figure out what number can we combine. So usually we want to start with the one that's less, so we can get rid of those negative signs. So 6n minus 4 is 2n plus 17. And once we get through those steps, get our variables on one side, then it's a matter of solving using inverse properties. And then we have 2n, so multiply means we divide, which is going to leave us with n equaling negative 7. Okay, if we look at this second example, first thing we want to look at doing is distributing. Negative 8 times 1 and negative 8 times a negative x would be plus 8x. Do you remember that that negative sign goes along with the number? And once we get to this point, now we're going to look to solve by using our inverse. And in this case, when we subtract that 8x, it's going to leave us with a 1 equals negative 8. So 1 does not equal negative 8, so this is going to be a no solution. Looking at example C, looks like the first thing we can do to simplify is over here with distribute. So take a minute to rewrite the first half of that equation. And then 9 times n, that'd be plus 9n, and 9 times negative 7, negative 63. We do have two numbers that are like terms. So if we have negative 5 minus 63, that's a negative 68 plus 9n. And here we can start seeing that both of our equations look very similar. But if we do one last step of subtracting 9n from both sides, that leaves us with a negative 68 equal to negative 68. And this is a true statement, so this is where we can have that all real numbers symbol. And what that's really going to tell us is that there are many solutions that would make this equation true. Okay, now take a look at the practice 2.3b. Put some of your work into action, and then make sure you check your answers when you're done. Good luck.